Hello students, good morning. Here your teacher Dolce. And as you all know, we are undergoing chapter number 3 from unit 1st human reproduction. So in this chapter today we are going to start the menstrual cycle. So before we start the menstrual cycle, you must know that there must be an age determined to exhibit the changes of the menstrual flow, and the age in the female is between the onset of puberty and up to the menopause. So the age of onset of puberty is known as menarche, or menarche is the first menstrual flow observed in a female at the age of 10 to 12, that is variable from female to female. While the menopause, it is the period when ovulation and the menstrual flow it stops in a human female. With the stop in the production of ova, the female's fertility it also ends up. So we can say that the average period of the menopause age in a female is 50 to 52 years, but is variable. It is about 45. It varies from 45 years to 52 years in different females. Okay, so in some cases it occurs gradually, means it ends up within 1 to 5 years, while in some female it is quite abruptly, it occurs abruptly within 1 year only. Okay, so what about the characters that appeared at the time of menopause? There are hot flashes, means a sensation of warmth spreading from the trunk to the face, means during the menopause a female it bears the hot sensation, means very warm the sensation from the trunk to the face region of the female. A female can feel the night sweating, its mood fluctuates gradually, and it is observed by some kind of psychic symptoms which are very threatening for a female. Okay, so the menopause is a result of decline in estrogen level. As you know, for the menstrual flow, the necessary hormone is estrogen. Whenever estrogen is absent from the secretions or the blood of a female, that time is observed with the menopause. So ultimately, we can say that the end up of the fertility period is said to be the menopause, and startup of the fertility period is known as menarche. So now we are going to start up with the menstrual cycle or the ovarian or uterine cycle. So you know the reproductive period of a human female, it is about 30 to 32 years, and we can averagely say it is 32 years. It starts from the onset of puberty 10 to 14 years up to the age of menopause, that is 50 to 52 years, and the gradual cyclic changes that occur in the ovary of a female at a gap of 28 days, means these changes repeat themselves within 28 days. Those collective changes are said to be the menstrual cycle. And the phase in which the blood flow or the fall of the uterine observed in the human ovary, that phase is said to be the menstruation. Okay, so what about the period? Now we define the time of the menstrual flow based on different sequences. Now the length of menstrual cycle it varies widely in female from 28 to 29. Some females have even 30 days. Generally we can say that means generally represents the 1 month of a female human reproductive period. So in a female, there is a length of 1 to 2 days variable from female to female. Usually the time of the reproductive phase, that is said to be the lactation period or time of pregnancy. At that time, no menstrual flow is observed in the female. Means the menstrual cycle or the means or the flow of menstruation, it is observed throughout life up to the menopause, except at the time of pregnancy and at the time of lactation, that is said to be the completely sterile period of a female. Okay, the days of the female reproductive period are divided. Firstly, 3 days are of means or menstrual flow, then are of follicular phase when the uterus wall it thickened to release the ova. 14th day ovulation occur. Before the ovulation and after the ovulation, 5 days are completely fertile period of human reproductive age, and they are said to be the period to ensure the pregnancy. They are the periods where female definitely get pregnant if they undergo any kind of sexual intercourse with any kind of male. Okay, but after this the uterine wall it start to shed up with the elevation of the hormone progesterone. In that hormone's presence, the uterine wall it sheds up and it releases the ova or washes off the ova without undergoing any fertilization. So we can say that it is the period that is divided into the days that ensure in which day the fertilization may occur maximally, which are the days where no fertilization takes place, and the other days which have tendency to fertilize but they depend on the conception or the type of conception that a female undergo. Now come to the major part of the human reproductive or the menstrual cycle of the female. That cycle it comprises of 4 phases. First phase is said to be the follicular phase. Second phase is said to be the ovulatory phase, the 14th day. Third phase is said to be the luteal phase or the post-ovulatory phase, and fourth one is said to be the menstrual phase. So now I am going to start up with the first phase, that is known as the follicular phase. It is also known as proliferative phase. It is also known as post-menstrual phase, or it is known as pre-ovulatory phase. I am telling you the meaning of each. Follicular phase means hair follicles formed. Proliferative means here the thickening of the wall starts. Post-menstrual phase means it occurs just after the menstrual flow, and it is pre-ovulatory means before 14 days, means 14th day ovulation occur na. Before that 14 day, all the days comprises of the follicular phase. That's why it is known as the pre-ovulatory period. So what happened in this period? This period lies between after the menstrual flow and before the ovulation. So it is the period of 10 to 14 days, 10 to 12 days actually. And in this phase, the stimulation of FSH hormone it increases, which stimulates the Graafian primary follicle of ovary to change into the Graafian follicle. Those Graafian follicle then ultimately ensure the release of the hormone estrogen, and that estrogen hormone is responsible for stimulation of the growth, maintenance, and function of all the secondary sexual character in female. With this hormone, the endometrium of the human female it become thick and become more vascular with high amount of blood supply, which is helpful to ensure the implantation of the baby. With the conduction of the ova from the ovary it starts. It inhibits the secretion of FSH and it stimulates the secretion of LH. With increase in LH at the last days of follicular phase, they ensure the release of ova from the human ovary, and that 14th day of the menstrual cycle is known as the peak of ovulation. And at this level, high level of hormones is observed, that is known as the LH surge. What happens at the ovulatory phase? Ovulatory phase is the phase that occurs at the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. On this day, the hormones like LH, they are at the peak. That is said to be the LH surge, which means with the increase in LH hormone in the blood, the conversion of the oocyte into the secondary oocyte is observed. And LH is responsible for the release from the corpus luteum that is released by the Graafian follicle. That corpus luteum then ultimately increases the production of progesterone hormone, which is necessary for pregnancy. It means on the 14th day, ovulation occur with LH hormone. That LH hormone, it stimulates the corpus luteum to secrete a hormone that is known as the progesterone, because if ovulation occur only then fertilization may take place, and for ovulation LH is necessary, and for fertilization which hormone is necessary? That hormone is known as the progesterone. Okay, now we move to the third phase, that is known as the luteal phase. Luteal phase is the phase when corpus luteum, that is known as the yellow body, it empties up and increase in size. Okay, this corpus luteum secretes a hormone known as progesterone. This progesterone decreases the secretion of FSH and LSH from the ovary, and it results in secretion of uterine milk for the fetus. Okay, in this way the uterine contraction reduces. Ultimately, if the ova do not receive any kind of sperm which fertilize with the ova, in that case menstrual phase is observed in the first 3 to 5 days of a human female menstrual cycle. In this cycle, unfertilized ovum and the corpus luteum they start degenerating, and the level of progesterone it falls in this period, which result in release of ovum from unfertilized ovum from the ovary, with the shedding of the endometrial wall, which is rich in blood supply. That shedding or the falling of the endometrial wall, it is discharged with the blood mucus from the vaginal orifice, that is known as the menstrual flow. Please define it again, that the unfertilized ovum along with the ruptured uterine endothelium. As you know, when the unfertilized ovum it releases out of the uterus with the shedding of the uterine wall, that is said to be the ruptured uterine epithelium. About 50 ml of blood and some amount of mucus, it is discharged out by the human female through its vaginal orifice, means vaginal opening, that is said to be the menstrual flow or the menstruation. Okay, and the decrease in progesterone and estrogen, they further release the increase the concentration of FSH and LH, that is said to be the positive feedback. It means in menstrual cycle both the positive and negative feedbacks they work simultaneously. Positive feedback ensures the release of FSH and LH so that ovulation may occur, while the release of progesterone and estrogen it act as a negative feedback for the release of FSH and LH to ensure the pregnancy. Both these hormonal functions they work continuously or coordinately to ensure the fertilization and the menstrual flow. Okay, and however if the fertilization occur, then the blastula it get implanted into the uterine wall and a chronic placenta is formed in the uterus of the mother. That placenta releases a hormone that is known as HCG. HCG stands for the human chronic gonadotropin. That hormone is responsible for maintaining the corpus luteum and progesterone secretion. With this, the pregnancy it become ensured and it provide gestational period of 9th month to a female. Okay, so today what we have done the menstrual cycle, about which we define first the menarche, then the menopause, followed by the 4 phases of the menstrual cycle. First one is pre-ovulatory or follicular phase. Second one is known as LS search or ovulatory phase. Then post-ovulatory or the luteal phase, and last one is the menstrual phase. Actually, if we say it is a period of 28 days, that is variable from female to female generally, depending upon its diet, depending upon its hormonal secretions of the body of a female. But generally the cycle which we study it is of 28 days. That is divided based on the growth of uterine wall. Okay, in that fall we observe the changes in the wall of human female, uterine wall. Okay, these changes are necessary to ensure how the uterus wall is helpful in maintaining the secretion of various hormones, and those hormones how helpful to regulate the menstrual cycle in the female while to ensure the pregnancy or to ensure the menstrual flow. And it is necessary that menstrual flow must occur in a female. If menstrual flow is not regular in a female, the chances of pregnancy or to conceive are also low. Or the next topic or the last topic from the human female reproductive system is the estrous cycle. As you know, as I told you in the lecture, that estrous cycle, it is just similar to the menstrual cycle, but it's not too similar. It occurs in most of the mammals, but not the primates. In this estrous cycle, no menstruation will occur, as in human female it occur in the form of bleeding. No bleeding is observed or menstrual flow is observed in the estrous cycle. Estrous cycle is actually known as the heat period, in which endometrium is not shed off, it is reabsorbed by the human female or the mammalian females. In menstrual cycle, the endometrium is washed off, but in estrous cycle, it is reabsorbed. In the menstrual cycle, females cannot allow the copulation during the menstrual flow, but they can reproduce throughout the year. But in estrous cycle, copulation occurs only during the estrus period, because it is the period when female become maximally, I can say it become maximally acceptable to a male, and it is the period when the level of estrogen is very high in the mammals of estrous cycle, and the duration of the estrous cycle, it is 18 hours in cow. Okay, so depending upon the animals, upon their estrus period, they can be monoestrus, they can be biestrus, or they can be polyestrus. If they at the estrus period it lies only one, then it is said to be the monoestrus. If it lies 2 times in a year, that is said to be the biestrus, and if it is more than 15 days, that is said to be the polyestrus. Of 1 day, monoestrus; more than 2 or 3 days, up to 5 days, that is said to be the biestrus, and if it is every 15 days, that is known as polyestrus. Example of monoestrus is sheep. Biestrus are rat and mice, and the polyestrus are the guinea pig. So in this way we complete the topic of menstruation. Please memorize the peaks of chart, conversion of the ovarian follicles that I told you about, corpus luteum, about ova, about Graafian follicle. You must all the stages. Then what you have to know, you have to draw the diagram of the peaks of the hormone, while LH, while FSH, while estrogen and progesterone, followed by the ovarian changes and uterine wall. Thank you. That's all for today.